Tonight we begin the Holy Triduum, these 3 holy days that lead up to Easter, but trace the most important moments of the Paschal mystery, the mystery of our redemption, of God's love for us in Jesus' suffering, death, and resurrection. So it starts tonight at the Last Supper, and if you've been to the Triduum before, then you understand. But if you never have, if this is your first time, then maybe you need this kind of warning. It's kind of like going underwater. It's kind of like swimming through a cave underwater. Even if tomorrow, even if you can't do anything for Good Friday, maybe you have to work and you can't make the Good Friday liturgy, just to enter into it on Thursday and to be alive on Good Friday and then to wait on Holy Saturday. We spend these days with the Lord, and they're holy days. It's a holy time, not just a holy place. So this is what we begin tonight, what we enter into. And it's sort of like, then I'll see you all on Sunday morning. We'll all be here, but I don't know if I'll notice you, and I don't know if you'll notice me. In fact, I hope not. On Holy Thursday, we're surrounded by these wondrous divine mysteries. Everything has come to this climactic moment for Jesus. He's had these 3 years of preaching and healing and miracles and teaching. And now, as we heard in the gospel, fully aware that the Father had put everything into his power, he knew that his hour had come to pass from this world to the Father. On Holy Thursday, at the Mass of the Lord's Supper, we celebrate what the Lord did at the Last Supper. Not only his command of fraternal charity that we heard about in the gospel as he washed the disciples' feet, but he gives eternally to his church these 2 great gifts that bring so much joy. It's kind of a strange thing that we ring bells and sing the Gloria before Lent is over. It's not Easter yet. So this is the strange moment that we're in. We rejoice in these gifts right on the threshold of this sorrowful passion that begins tonight. The Last Supper that Jesus eagerly desired to share with his apostles, he gives to his church the Holy Eucharist and the priesthood. And these 2 things always go together. You never have one without the other. But also what is included in this is the suffering of the cross. Jesus didn't give the priesthood and the Holy Eucharist weeks before or years before, but he does it just on the eve of his passion. So I want you to think about it like this. What he gives tonight they're not just things. If we consider them things, they're very valuable things. They're unspeakably priceless things, the priesthood and the Eucharist that Jesus has given to his church. But in giving these, what he is doing is not just giving us food for the journey, not just giving us what we need to continue to be saved. What he's doing is he's giving us his heart, revealing his heart and his love for us and for the whole church and for the whole world. And beyond revealing it, handing it over. This is what Jesus gives us in the Eucharist and the priesthood. What we see him pour out on the cross is what he gives to us in these 2 gifts, the priesthood and the Eucharist. I would say this, that I think for every priest, Mass on Holy Thursday is like your first Mass. It's like your Mass of Thanksgiving, the day after you've been ordained. It's the closest thing you get to that. And every year, I've been surprised, but every year it feels like that again. In fact, my first Mass when I was first ordained many years ago was here at St. Luke. So it actually feels very similar. I think I wore this on that day, and maybe some of you were there. Holy Thursday, like the anniversary of the priesthood and the Eucharist, the first Eucharist at the Last Supper, it definitely is experienced by us priests like the first time that we ever got to celebrate Mass and the Eucharist. What is it that makes a priest Usually we point to what a priest can do: celebrate the Eucharist, absolve sins, administer the sacraments. These are things that a priest does, and they are unique, certainly. They are, in a lot of ways, like the purpose of a priest's life, but that is not what makes a priest, because even if all those things are taken away, the priest is still a priest, even if he can do nothing. So what makes a priest? Maybe you'd say ordination by the bishop, asking for the grace of the Holy Spirit and the laying on of hands. And that's true, but that's not what makes a priest a priest. That is how a priest becomes a priest. What's the change? What's the great difference? And it's just one thing, actually. A man becomes a priest when, by the Holy Spirit, by the grace of this sacrament that the Lord has given us, he is configured to Christ in this specific way so that he can do those things. But he's configured to Christ not just in how he acts or what he can do or what's expected of him. He's configured to Christ in his person, at the level of his being. He's changed. What he is changed. And for all of us, like what's the deepest place in us? What's the core of our being? That is our heart. So what makes a priest is that the Holy Spirit has configured this man's heart to Christ. So as a way of thanking God for his gifts of the Eucharist and the priesthood, I just want to give this kind of testimony because all of our hearts are configured to Jesus in baptism, and this is a grace that unfolds through our lives. But to be configured to Jesus, the priest, sometimes that means that you experience his life risen and glorious, and sometimes that means you experience his life suffering and dying. This is what St. Paul is talking about when he says we carry about in our own bodies the suffering and dying of Christ so that we live in the rising of Christ. So this is my little testimony to like the experience of this configuration to Christ. It's to what it brings is like just a little taste of the love of the heart of Jesus for his Father and for all of humanity. And it's good that it's not the whole thing, or like all of us would just die, you know? He gives us a small share. Most of the time it's experienced as longing, unfulfilled longing. And the problem is that for a heart to be configured to Christ, the priest, means that the Lord works to expand and stretch and widen love. And the problem is that it's always too much, too wide, too broad. It's for all of humanity, you know? So it's wider than all the time that we could ever have. It's deeper than the length that our lives will allow. The hours in the day, the energy that you have, the number of appointment slots, or this is like the pain and the glory. It's like the most joyful kind of pain that I can describe to you, that because it's so it's a love that like can't really be fulfilled, but it isn't less for that. What it is an experience of Jesus' eager suffering of love. And so it's burning. Like, yes, Jesus is like perfectly happy, of course. But also he longs and his heart burns. And he even now desires what he does not have, and that is you and your brothers and sisters and every human person. So not only because he dies on the cross, but because of the nature of this love, it's a suffering love. It's a love that always burns. Sometimes we get to experience a little of the pouring out of Jesus, the exhale of Jesus on the cross. And so, sometimes that can be a relief. Very often we're thrown into the poverty of Jesus also, the poverty of dependence. To be asked for what you do not have, and to be called to what you cannot do. To have hands that are empty, and then to give what seems like nothing. And to see someone walk away with a holy gift that God has given them, and you look at your own hands and they're still empty. I think I haven't done a very good job describing some of this. But it's less about the experience of priesthood, and it's more about the heart of Jesus that he gives to us in the priesthood and in the Eucharist. His own heart that is longing, that is like wider and broader and deeper than our lives, that encompasses the whole world and all of time. It is like so much bigger than any human life or human generation. That eagerly suffers out of love, and so burns for what it does not yet possess. That is you and I. That pours itself out until it is empty and then pours more. And that rejoices in poverty to depend on his Father always. This is the heart of Jesus. On this night, it's the heart of Jesus that is given to the church in the priesthood and the Eucharist. The heart which tomorrow we know will be pierced, poured out for love.